Hey everyone, this is Kevin again, and this is pretty much what's left of the 351 Cleveland motor, still in the engine compartment here, of my 1978 Ford Bronco. As I mentioned in some of the videos before, I ended up having a valve spring break on me, so I thought it was just a top end issue. Figured I could work on it from, in here. Not thinking I'd be pulling the motor, but that valve ended up dropping into the cylinder and kind of roughing up the edge a little bit, if you can see right there. But it's nothing too drastic. It's not deep or anything, just something I want to kind of try to buff out a little bit. So I figured, you know what, screw it, I'll just pull the motor completely out, rebuild it outside of the damn truck, and hopefully it'll be a lot easier. I don't have much left to take apart on this, just the 4 main bolts to hook it up to the transmission, the motor mounts, as you can see down in here. You got 3 bolts, one there and one on either side there. Same thing for the other side. I just got to disconnect the manual fuel pump there. The radiator, I'm probably going to pull the radiator out just to make sure that when I'm pulling the motor out, the engine doesn't bump into it. And what's it called? The heating lines for my heater. And this ground wire. That's pretty much about it from what I can tell that I have to disconnect. Since I'm going to pull my radiator out, I got to disconnect the those 2 transmission fluid cooler lines down here, right down in here. Got to remove those so I can pull the radiator out just fine. But yeah, once I get that motor out, I'll be cleaning the crap out of this compartment. It's got grease everywhere. But yeah, when I get a better picture, I'll go ahead and take a couple shots of the bolts in the back that we're gonna have to take out. It'll probably be easier to show once I pull the motor, and I'll show you where exactly those are. I also have to disconnect the flywheel from the torque converter, I believe it was called. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that one, but yeah, this is my first time doing this, so just making a little video of it. Hey everyone, quick update here. Was in the process of removing or trying to take out the motor, and so far I've gotten the radiator out and all the other lines disconnected. The fuel line, the fuel pump, and that ground wire that was up front that needed to be taken off. Now I'm down here looking at the flywheel so we can pull this straight out, and there's these little nuts that go on the bolt here that pretty much keep the flywheel down on the torque converter, I believe it's called. So there's 4 of them in total. It would have been helpful to have an extra hand, but it was just me doing it. Had to go swing around to the front and kind of crank the motor to get each one to line up down at the very bottom here. There's another spot where you could try to take them out too, and that's where you pull your starter from. So you can probably line them up with one of these 2 openings. It's fairly easy to get out. Just kind of a pain if you're by yourself, having to jump back and forth to crank the motor to get them aligned. After this, what I'm pretty much going to focus on from down here is I already got one of the motor mount bolts taken out. There's another one up there, and then there's one more up top that I'll show you guys later. As you can see, I have my freeze plug warmer right there that I put in a few years back, and helps during the winter keep the block warm. And then after that, I'm going to be removing some these bolts down in here. Get the lighting to hit it. There we go. There's one connecting to the motor. There's one a little further above that. You can see it just above my finger. Right there. So there's two from down here that I can reach. As you can see, the heads here, the headers, excuse me, the bolts were kind of seized up on there pretty good, so I have some penetrating oil on them. Hopefully I can get that undone to give me a little more room to maneuver back here. And then there's two more bolts on the top of the motor that are connected to the transmission that I gotta get, and I'll take a picture of them later. Well, I'm gonna get started here, and hopefully I'll have this engine out before the end of today.